We as Jews have probably learned over and over again when we've celebrated the Passover that we are part of a tradition that stands for the move from slavery to freedom, that in fact we are the first of the major religious traditions to have opposed slavery as our story, the story of our origins as a people, moves from our enslavement in Egypt to our freedom in the desert and beyond. Well, I've got to say, it's not so clear. To begin with, when you open up the Torah and follow the story of the Exodus from leaving Egypt, going through the sea and coming to Mount Sinai, read the Ten Commandments and then continue, you'll find that the very first commandment in Mishpatim, right after the Ten Commandments, is a law that regulates the holding of a Hebrew slave. Now, what kind of tradition is this, which allegedly opposes slavery, and yet the very first law it gives after the Great Ten is a law regulating slavery? Now, when we look at the later tradition, I happen to have some evidence here that you've probably never seen before. This is a book that was printed by Sephardi Jews in Amsterdam in 1687. It's a prayer book that includes not only prayers, but blessings for all kinds of things. And here in 1687, we've got a benediction de cuando compran siervos, or in Hebrew, bracha keshekonim avadim, a blessing to be recited when you purchase a slave. If you read the blessing, it's got a number of words. I won't go through all the details, but it ends with the words, Baruch atah Hashem, blessed be you, Lord our God, hatov v'hametiv, blessed be you, God, for doing good things to me. In other words, the person who buys a slave in Amsterdam, a great seaport involved in the international slave trade in the 17th century, Jew as well as non-Jews, would say, the Jew, the blessing saying, thank you for doing something good for me. This is not a tradition, at least for those Jews who lived in Amsterdam at this point, which opposed slavery. I think it's fair to say that the question for Judaism was not slavery versus freedom, because on one level, as that great Jew Bob Dylan said, we all serve somebody. It may be the devil, it may be the Lord, but we all got to serve somebody. So the question is not whether there are slaves. We are all on some level slaves. The question is how we relate to slaves, how we treat others, all of us being servants of some force, for good or for bad. Maimonides, in his great work of Jewish law, says the following, in his Laws of Slavery. It is permissible to have a non-Jewish slave perform excruciating labor. That's the law. But now he goes on and adds, although this is the law, the attribute of piety and the way of wisdom is for a person to be merciful and to pursue justice, not to make his slaves carry a heavy yoke, nor cause them distress. He should allow them to partake of all the foods and drink that he serves himself. Similarly, we should not embarrass a slave by our deeds or with words, for the Torah prescribed that they perform service, not that they be humiliated. Nor should one shout or vent anger upon slaves extensively. Instead, one should speak to them gently and listen to their claims. Why? Because obviously we all, being slaves, all of us human beings deserving of dignity, should be treated with dignity. What Maimonides so crucially adds is that the direction of the tradition is not from slavery to freedom, that is to say an undefined and unbounded freedom. It's from slavery to a greater servitude, with a recognition that as we treat one another, each of us as the servants of some cause that we are, we all deserve dignity and we all deserve to be treated with mercy and with kindness. That's the kind of slavery that our tradition, at least according to Maimonides, defends and supports. Have a wonderful holiday.